To be a shrew is to be a woman who never dims her light and is untamed to the max.
To be a shrew is knowing who you are and being content in that.
Hi Shrews, and welcome to the final episode of the debut series of the Shrew series, a space we're holding to amplify the voices of untamed women. With each episode, we have brought to you with a different writing, stories and performances, sparks of conversation and thoughts. We now bring our final piece that invites us into the themes of womanhood in the space of motherhood, identity, societal shame and guilt, and what it means to be a non-biological mother. So let's delve into our final act. Tayla is a brilliant writer and actor who trained at the Manchester School of Theatre. She won Best Individual Performance for Genesis, the Mary Shelley play at the Edinburgh Fringe, and Best Performance for Fluff at the Birmingham Fringe Festival, where the play also received Best Piece. Tayla was nominated for Best Actress at the Buxton Fringe, and Fluff won Best Theatre Production. She was selected as an emerging talent for Hayes Festival 2024 platform programme. Beyond acting, Tayla's poem Whispers of a Stepmother is published in the catalogue of stories Motherhood Uncensored, and she co-wrote Fluff, which is published by Play Dead Press. So please welcome our final writer, Tayla. You've really bared, a sense of self. So I just wanted to say it's just really, really nice. And thank you so much. I think the first question I'd actually love to ask you then is, what got you into writing?
Okay, so I wouldn't know exactly what got me into writing because I always have done different forms of writing since I was really young. So when I was younger, I would write poems and stories, and I'd write a Christmas play and then make my family watch it. And I still do that now, embarrassingly. So I've always kind of had that. But in terms of wanting to get my writing out there and kind of push it in that way, the prompt for that was making work and being in work, I suppose, as an actor, a bit that I wanted to see that I wasn't seeing, I guess, is what made me want to do it professionally, if you like. Personalities of characters, whatever, and get people to listen, through narrative or through poetry or whatever it is, I think is much more effective. And it is the point that, yes, there are creatives and people that go to theatre, but also there's just people that aren't creatives that go to the theatre because they enjoy it, and then they're able to kind of access those different viewpoints and things which they might not be able to, I suppose. So
yeah. So would you say that you are a writer that works to, that moment of inspiration, or do you consider yourself a writer that works to a sense of routine?
I think I'd love to be a writer that works to routine, but life just doesn't really work like that. I think I try to be I try to put routines in, and I'm going to write at this time, and I try to do it that way. But inspiration is definitely what fuels me and where I do my best writing. So I think I try to do both, but inspiration trumps it.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because it's so different depending on each creative. I mean, everybody has their own way of working, and it's so unique to the individual. I mean, honestly, for me, it's the case of if you try and tell me to do something every single day in a strict time frame and a strict timeline, and it was the recurring 12 to 2 every day, do this, especially when it comes down to something creative, it's the case of good luck.
Yeah, I just don't know how I'm going to be feeling. I wake up feeling different on every day, and sometimes I'm really want to write, and other times I just want to sleep all day. So sometimes I put those structures in, and then I feel I just don't have it in me. So it's just really hard sometimes.
So what was the what was the spark, I guess, to make you write this piece about step parenting and step motherhood?
So originally, it kind of came from my lived experience. I met my partner when I was 25, and he has a child, and it's just a world that I had never encountered before. And I found very difficult and still find very difficult. And I was just really shocked at the kind of lack of support or lack of anything out there that could help me, because I was really kind of like researching and trying to find spaces where, I could kind of like learn from it, or like be like, are my feelings normal, or like, what should I do? It just felt so alien to me, and there was nothing there to support me. So that's kind of the first inspiration. And then the spark for the poem actually came from a competition that was called Things Left Unsaid. And it just fit that kind of like stimulus fit so well, because in my situation, and also from other stepmothers that I had spoken to, there's this kind of fear and stigma and feeling that you can't say how it actually feels. You can't talk about the struggles. And I still find that very much. So that kind of sparked me to write the poem.
So I feel like that interlinks with then the challenges and or opening up a sense of that conversation on the challenges. So what were you looking to drive, or what were you looking to kind of open up in that in the terms of maybe those that haven't got direct experience with step parenting or step motherhood in the same way? What was that kind of conversation that you were hoping to spark?
Yeah, I think there's a huge stigma against, step parenting, and people being quite opinionated and not knowing. And I fell into that as well. Like, I didn't know anything about it, and I would have just been the same. But when you're actually in it and living it, it's a very like complicated, nuanced at times. Like, it's not, like what it says on the tin. It's just very difficult. So I think I wanted to open conversations, and I wanted to encourage a space where you can talk openly about your feelings and your struggles and not feel judged for it. And again, it's really complicated, isn't it? Because yes, of course, like the child's needs come first. And yes, of course, you're in a position of care and all of those things, of course. And it's complicated for everyone in that dynamic. I totally get that. But it just felt to me like there was no space for the woman in that kind of what felt like and feels like at times an outside role. It felt like there was no spaces to talk about your feelings. So that was my intention for the poem.
So what parts of step motherhood would you say or step parenting are invisible? And what are you trying to kind of highlight or spotlight in your piece, to kind of bring it to the forefront?
Yeah, I think step motherhood for me, where you kind of feel most invisible is this like kind of loss of identity and not finding where you fit in a dynamic, which I sort of touched upon a little bit, because it's not always as easy as like you're a mum. It's not always that. It's like, where do I fit in this dynamic? Where am I needed? Where am I wanted? What am I wanted? Like there's a lot of you trying to find where you fit and what's right for everybody in that, and that can make you feel quite invisible, like you don't have a place. So I think that. I also think there's this huge juggling of having no voice and having too much voice. So, you're going into a dynamic where there's already something established. How much can I, like get involved with, I don't know, like behavior stuff or not? Like, where's my opinion wanted? Where's it not wanted? You don't want to come in and start, being really strict, but then at the same time, you can then feel very invisible because there's things maybe you don't agree with and you feel like you can't say it in your own house. So it's just like really complicated, I think, that role, finding what you should do. And I think that somebody told me the other day, it takes on average like 4 to 8 years or something to find like how that works in a blended family. I think that it feels like there's truth in that. It feels like it takes a long time to find your place in that. And that can feel very invisible. And then obviously what we've spoken about, not being able to voice these concerns and being shamed for them, then makes you even more invisible, because you think, okay, I don't really know where I fit. I'm trying to get help. I'm trying to talk to people and nobody's really interested or they're judging you. And then the piece, I think as a whole tries to kind of like lift that, I suppose, because it's voicing the struggles and the negative feelings that you can have. And those feelings of like really ugly feelings of like loss and jealousy, like at times resentment, feelings that you don't want to have as a person, but it's just very difficult. It's just very difficult situation that you've got to navigate through. So I think the piece itself is trying to lift that by basically saying these are feelings that people have, and even though we're not supposed to say it, I'm saying it.
Oh, okay, Tayla. I'd love to ask and end then on this and ask you what's coming up. What have you got going on? Anything to note? Anything to shout out about? How can people connect with you? Is there anything going on in the next year that you've got going on?
So I'm currently co-producing, and I have written a play about women's health, and in particular a condition called premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And we're working with the PMDD charity, who are amazing. Shout out, to them, they're amazing. And it's kind of about medical misogyny, but within that, it's also about like women and girls, because there's a young girl in the school, and women and girls who don't understand themselves and are trying to navigate a world that don't understand them. And then within that, there's kind of her trying to navigate work life and relationships and fear of motherhood. So there's kind of a bit of a link there and things. So we're doing that. And then hopefully we've applied for funding. So hopefully we'll be able to put it on. Got like the most amazing team of just like awesome people and women and creatives. So that's really exciting to bring all the people involved and all like technicians and designers, and very cool. And then I'm just writing a few other things. I'm developing something about this environmental crisis that we're living in. So we do everything under our company called Teepee Productions. So the handle is Teepee Prods, but I'm going to have to spell it out because it's TEEPEE Prods, PRODS, because otherwise you just put TP. So everything it will be on there through our company.
Brilliant, Tayla. Thank you so much for everything. And thank you so much for offering this piece to the Shrew series, the debut series, and ending the series on such a formidable piece and one to really, really pay attention to and the themes around it. So thank you once again. Thank you. And to bring this important piece of writing to life is the brilliant Michelle Luther. Michelle trained at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, and in time as a multifaceted artist, she is best known for her roles in ITV's Joan, BBC Three's Being Human, Sky One's My Friend Misty, as well as her stage presence early doors with Not Too Tame and To Have a Baby and Not Lose Your Shit at King's Head Theatre, which, we have to admit, is very on theme for today's performance. You can also hear her voice in Channel 4's documentary Bouncers, as well as a multitude of radio adverts on Global. So, with no further introduction needed, this is Things Left Unsaid, read by the brilliant Michelle.
Things left unsaid. Things that are not said, things that cannot be said. Imagine being a mother without 9 months of the year, without having to wait for them to get here, without the carrying, the kicking, the movement, the growing, without the cravings, the mood swings, the, oh my God, you're glowing. No pushing, no panting, no sweating and shaking, no stinging and ripping and parts of you breaking. No excitement and build-up to be a new mum, never hearing the words, look, here it comes. Imagine being a mother at the drop of a hat, becoming a mother, just like that. The sacrifice, fatigue and emotional strain, the noise, the mess that drives you insane. Feeling alone. Left on the shelf. For a child who looks at you with the eyes of someone else. The child who was born from the womb of another, the child who's the first to say, you're not my mother, Constant reminders of a love from before, but you can't complain. You know what you signed up for. Be a parent, a role model, an idol, a guide. Chide yourself for your feelings inside. Resentment, jealousy, times of despair, a mind that screams, this just isn't fair. Put yourself behind you for the sake of your man. Read blogs, watch videos, do all that you can. Keep smiling and laughing through times that seem rough, through daily reminders that you're never enough. Allow the judgment and pressure to wash off you like water. Imagine this child is really your daughter. Empty relationships, not for lack of trying. Nights of wishing, wondering, bouts of crying. Sadness encroaching as your dreams start to fade. No first experiences, no look what we've made. Is that all I am now? Society's label? A stepmom, a villain in my own fairy tale? Your feelings and thoughts now are all disapproved. And how can you speak when your voice is removed? To say this to you now, it fills me with dread. Things that cannot, are not, will never be said.
Hello, you sexy shrews. My name is Kelly Griffiths, and I am the founder of the Tits Comedy. We're bold, we're all different, and we're unashamedly out there. We are the Tits. I've designed this platform specifically to shine a light on female-identifying working class and underrepresented creatives in the Midlands. So if you're a Midlander and you've got a bit of stand-up, a sketch, a bit of puppetry, poetry, song, clowning, whatever it is, I want to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram at the Tits Comedy or email me thetitscomedy@gmail.com. So please do get in touch.
An absolutely formidable piece around the multifaceted experience of what being a mother can be, and what it can mean and how it can feel, and the many variations of the experience. And with an incredible performance by Michelle and the introspective understanding of the words to performance. So to continue this conversation on the expansive experience of motherhood, and specifically being a step-parent, we decided to reach out to BeStepWise, an organisation that profoundly supports step-parents in an incredible number of ways. And we got the chance to sit down with Alison, who heads the organisation, and speak to her on how the organisation came about and why it is so important in modern society to hold more space for blended families. Hi, Alison. Thank you first off. Thank you so much for being a part of this episode, a part of the series. To get you on and to speak about BeStepWise is a genuine joy, and to speak about the themes that are surrounded by this episode and the themes surrounded by the piece itself and the performance, and to then be able to speak to you about these themes is genuinely just wonderful. So I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you so much. And I guess just go straight into it would be wonderful, just to know how did BeStepWise kind of come about, and what kind of ignited the organisation?
Well, it really started way back when I was a child myself, because I became a stepchild when my father remarried. And I had 4 younger brothers who were all quite young at the time. And our stepmother, bless her, tried really hard. You know, she had 5 children, imagine that. None of us were 18 yet. And she did do her best, but she had a lot of difficulty, a lot of pushback. We, for want of a better word, grouped against her, not because she was unpleasant. It was because we were in a hard place too at the time. And I looked on as the only girl in the family, as a part of the sibling group. And I thought, you know, if only she could be doing things differently. It wouldn't take a lot. It wouldn't take a lot, but I thought if she could do things differently, our experience and our lives would have been so different. Fast forward many years, and I found myself a stepmother to 2 children who were 8 and 4 at the time. And I thought, well, I love my husband, but this is going to be really interesting because I'm going to find this a doddle. It's not going to be because I know exactly what you need to do as a step parent to get this right. And that was one of the biggest learning curves I ever had. One of the things that one needs to know is that step parenting is not like parenting. Now, people say to me from the outside and say, well, yes and no. I know, Alison, you do the same things. You put the kids to bed, you read them stories. It's not that different, but it is. In so many key ways, you need to do things differently, and that's what inspired me to start the business, because I wanted to help people who are becoming step parents, and it's after all the biggest growing family type there is, to be step parents. All they need to do is do things differently. It doesn't take more effort. It doesn't take even any more time. In fact, it takes less time to do it well because things go wrong less. So it's about just knowing what to do and knowing how to do it and to do it to get it right rather than it goes wrong.
So, I mean, so really, so from what I got from that then is the fact that because you had that experience as a stepchild, you kind of formulated this sense that, because I know I've been a stepchild, therefore I know what a step parent should be. And this kind of sense, I guess, of like a copy and paste scenario. But I guess when you became a step parent, what maybe what are the misconceptions entering that space as an adult that you've kind of come across either yourself or that you've come across in your work? Is there anything that...
I undoubtedly think that my experience of having been a stepchild helped me hugely, like 80%. That experience of being step parented helped me. And that's one of the key things, actually, is that quite a lot of step parents haven't been step parented. Yes. So they don't have that experience. We're in a crossover generation where more people are step parents often than parents nowadays. And so we're in this sort of transitional period. And then there are a few more key things that you aren't expecting. Number one is the emotions you feel. We are genetically wired to connect with our children in a bonding way that we don't connect to other children. We don't love our friends' children the same way we love our own. We're not genetically connected to do that. And when you move into a step family, you're not connected to these children. And whilst you think you can love them, in practice, it's much, much more difficult than you think it is. So you've got all these wild emotions going on in you where you think you ought to be doing things when in fact you can't. And then that leads to you feeling as though you're a failure and that you're not doing that, you're no good. And in fact, you're thinking, I thought I could have been so much better and I can't be. And it's really, really upsetting. So it's a very emotional journey.
And finally, just kind of as we start wrapping up, because I think it would be really, really just incredibly interesting to know your thoughts on this, Alison. What would you say is something that someone who may not have direct experience or a very limited understanding about step parenting or blended families, what is something that collectively we could learn from those that have lived experience?
I think one of the things that step families do for all step families, and that they would benefit for them to do to all families, is to accept what is, accept the situation for what is, accept people for who they are, enjoy what they bring to the family, and recognize what you can do and do what you can, but also recognize what you can't do, and don't try and rescue people. Don't try and be the rescuer. Be much more able to be flexible. Often in a step family, you're moving in and you've got children from your own and from the past. They've got children from their own in the past. You have another child together. This requires people to completely share bedrooms together, bunch up, get on, do what you can, and you can't do more. You can't rescue situations all the time. Some situations, some people just don't get on. Some people bring to the family difficulties or personality types. And step parenting is all about accepting what is.
Well, thank you, Alison. Thank you so much for everything that you have kind of shared and been so incredibly honest with me and with this episode today. It's genuinely just been just so expansive and really informative. I'd love to just throw it to you now, just to say to anybody who is interested and wanting to know more about BeStepWise, anything that you'd like to share about the organisation, anything that's coming up, any way that they can get involved, anything to note, anything that's coming along in the next year?
Well, we're just entering a really exciting time because currently we run a YouTube video a week, and we have sessions with people, but we have developed an online course you can just sort of purchase off the shelf for sort of 90 quid and be able to sort of find a solution to what to do when you're feeling really resentful, or what to do when you're feeling really guilty or jealous, or when you don't know what to do about your pivotal parent, love your child, or get on with the wider family, whatever it happens to be. And we're putting together this whole range of online courses which will be available.
Well, thank you so much, Alison, for everything, for your time and everything that you've gone and just shared with today. And please, for anybody that does want to reach out to Alison, please do. BeStepWise, check them out, give them a follow on Instagram. Do send an email to Alison if you do want to reach out, or you do want to know more about the courses that are available, or have a one-to-one session. Please do, because it's a wonderful cause. It's a absolutely wonderful organisation that Alison has set up. And I'm going to ask you just to wrap this up, since we're in the space of reclaiming, and I feel like reclaiming in the essence of reclaiming a term or a title, a role that has once been deemed or tried to be deemed in a societal space as kind of less than. But now switching it maybe into the essence of shrew and blending the two. When can I ask you, Alison, to end this today? When were you a shrew?
I think that I'm a shrew when I'm actually talking a lot to step parents, and I'm a shrew when actually I'm telling them things that they have to do differently for the sake of the child, their partner, their partner's ex. And some of the time, even though they don't know it at the time, I'm asking and explaining and encouraging them to see a different perspective, which means that they have to do something differently to what they have done before. And that's me being a shrew, because I'm changing their mind by being on their side.
To listen to the full interview, head over to our Substack. But for now, if any of the themes resonate with you and you are looking for a supportive network, please do get in touch with Alison, who runs this organisation with sheer passion and a genuine connection to ensuring all families, however they come, are supported. Now, to end us on the final episode of the Shrew series, let's listen to more of when you guys reclaimed being a shrew.
I was a shrew when I set clear boundaries and I stuck to them.
I was a shrew during my home birth, which of course turned into an emergency C-section. So I insisted on wearing my massive red sunglasses in the ambulance and into theatre to keep my friggin' zen vibes.
I was a shrew when I reported a male colleague for sexual harassment after years of his behaviour not having any consequences, and I was the reason that he finally got fired.
I was a shrew when a guy that I used to know was adamant that guys were faster than women. So we ended up racing. I decided that I would challenge him to a race. I won. He refused to believe it, and he demanded for round 2. This was ended up with a bigger audience and a bigger pool of people watching us. It was at university, and 2 times in a row, I beat him hands down, and he was absolutely, he just refused to believe it. Refused.
So I was a shrew when I refused to choose between shibari and sailofugu fantasies and stood up, said no, and left.
I was a shrew and I decided quite early on in my life that I wouldn't bow down to heteronormative, that I wouldn't become a mother or a wife because I didn't want to, because I chose to live my life purely as I intended, not how society deemed I should. I'm a shrew every day because of it, and I fucking love it.
And so to mark the third and the final act, we just wanted to plug a few things and to announce one more thing. To get involved with the new WhatsApp community, head over to our Substack or Instagram page, The Shrew Series, and the link is there. It's all about women and non-binary creatives in the audio space. Whether you are a voiceover artist, audio director or producer, podcast producer, sound engineer, script editors, writers, and all the wonderful titles in between. The plan is to hold a space for collaboration around projects led by women and non-binary artists, or about womanhood in its inclusivity. And finally, and before we go, we'd love to announce the community episode, which is an additional episode around a few pieces that were also submitted for the first series, and to give them a space for you to hear their wonderful work. So keep the credits rolling and have a listen. So until next time, shrews, keep being bold, untamed, and unapologetically you. Keep breaking the mold, lifting each other up, and rewriting the narrative one story at a time. And the boring bits we need to just add here. For the legal stuff, please note that no work performed in this series is automatically consented for external and third-party performance use. The IP remains solely to the writer and/or creative of the performed pieces, and any interest in usage needs to be agreed with said writer and/or creative to refrain from any breach of copyright. Bye for now. Until the next scene in the story.